Okay, hello everybody. I am Jack, also known as Just Spirit, and I'm going to be your guide today for showing you how to make a 2D platformer, which will hopefully help you pass an exam. So yeah, we're going to be going through quite a bit here. Hopefully it won't take too long. If you look at the timeline, hopefully it will be timestamped with all the times for any particular parts. However, I do recommend you watch the entire thing, as I have also pointed out places which I would personally take notes, and also it's just good to know the entire content. Yeah, no, that's all we gotta say. So, obviously, let's start first and first. You want to open up Unreal. Not much surprise to anybody. So for this, we're going to be working with a blank document. Normally, I'd like to start with my own base project, but for this, it makes a lot more sense, especially with it being an exam, to start with a blank. Especially if you're doing 2D. The only exception I would really put for this may be top-down. I've never really worked with it. Or if you're doing 3D, but this is 2D tutorial, so we're going to be focusing on that. I'm just going to name it DMS for now. And while this loads, I'm going to show you the assets I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So we have kind of 5-6 main ones. We have our tile map. We have, we have our backgrounds. So I have a front and back background. I have my character sheet. Come on, there we go. I have my character spreadsheets and I'm using the wrong word, I know it. Spreadsheet, that's what I'm looking for. I have some music, and I have a sound effect. And that's what I'm going to be working with today. So, yes, this is what my project looks like on boot. Yours will likely look a bit different. So let me run through what visually looks different to start with, and then we'll get straight into everything. So, right down the side here, I have the environment light mixer, which we'll get to in a minute, and the general light mixer, which we won't be using. And then secondly, this is why I would definitely suggest having take up the whole side thing if you're not going to have this, being the place actors. You might use this a bit, maybe not. It's selective if you want it. You can find all those by going through Windows, Environment, Light, and Place Actors there. I've also opened up a second content browser. Instead of using the one down here, I'm using the one up here. And yeah, that's all you need to know about the layout. Another thing, I'm on Mac. Stuff might be in slightly different places, however, it should be under the same sort of areas and shouldn't be too hard to find. So let's start off with we made the project. So let's get on with setting it up. So before we get into too deep into setting it up, I'm going to create a new level. We are going to click empty level, create, save, and I'm going to name this test world. So level _ test world. When it comes to naming, name it what you like. It's your choice. I'm going to be using quite a rigorous naming scheme, which I've grown used to. And you might want to follow that. You might not. We're going to be going over good practice later on as well. So might consider it then. And we're going to make one more level. I should have probably made this one first, so we'd end up on the test level, but that's besides the point. This one is optional. It depends on how you want to do this. But we're going to save this one as level _ main menu. Here we go. Yeah, so I'm going to have a main menu for this. Very basic, very simple. And before I get any further with anything else, I'm going to just quickly do a bit of my personal sorting. I very much like to have everything sorted. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Only have kind of the bare minimum for what we'll need today. Yes, just going to complain a little bit about moving them, but it'll move them. So yeah, the folders I'm going to be running with is going to be an audio folder. Audio. Then we're going to have blueprints. This is for my general blueprints. Then we're going to have characters for any individual characters or entities. I'm going to then have input, which we're going to be getting to in just a minute. And then finally, we've already got levels. And so final one final two. I'm not used to having a tile one, which I'm going to be having. This is going to be for maps. Probably could do with a better name, but it works temporarily. You could also refer to this as art or assets or whatever you like. However, I've managed to sort all my other assets into other folders, so it's kind of a bit on its own. Final folder is going to be UI. We're not going to be touching that for a while, but it's good to have it there. So yeah, now let's actually get the project set up. I'm going to quickly switch levels over to the test world, as this is where we will primarily be working. You can see it's switched up here. If you've got two monitors, I would recommend separating it all. I personally like having the level as it... did not mean to do that. I personally like having the level as... it's always weird like this, isn't it? I personally like having the level as its own thing. Like this, and then I'll have everything else on over here. But for the sake of recording, I'm just going to have everything crammed into one. So yeah, now that we're on the test world, we're going to go through all the setup for your document. So first things first, plugins. You are highly going to want the PaperZD and Paper2D plugins enabled. PaperZD, you might have to download that yourself. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. But yeah, no. So this is going to use a lot of PaperZD stuff, so you're going to want to get used to it. And it relies pretty heavily on that. So yeah, that's the plugins. Very simple. The next thing is project settings. This we've got a little more to do, but it shouldn't take us too long. If you start off by typing in default, you'll get these, both of everything you need under project maps and modes. To start with, we're going to go down here to editor startup map. I like to have this as my test world. Game default map, main menu. That's going to be the one it first loads into. And you can leave the other two. We're not going to have a transition or server default map. And the next thing you need to do is create a new blueprint for default game mode up here. So this is going to go in our blueprints one. I'm going to name this GM underscore, I tend to name it game name. Sometimes you will have multiple game modes, in which case you might want to name it something different. But for this, we're going to have the single game mode. And so I'm just going to name it the game name. And yes, save. And then all we're going to do is ignore this. We're going to have to come back to this later because we're going to be adding our own unique, which one is it? I'm blind. Default pawn class, I think, off the top of my head. I might be stupid, but we'll get back to that because that's not what we're doing right now. What we are doing right now is inputs. So this one's very simple. We're going to make another folder in here and name this input actions. Actions. I forget it can't have a space. We just call this actions normally, actually, that's why. So yeah, so first things first, you want to go down here and find input mapping context. Make that IMC underscore and then name it whatever you want. I go with main. And this is where you can have all your controls. This is going to be everything. So for this game, I'm going to have a pretty dumbed down control set. So being a 2D platformer, I'm going to want movement. So you're going to want to click add to mappings, click another plus as you won't see anything here. So before we click the plus, you want to click on this, see the drop down and get input action. And this is going to go in input actions. And we're going to name this IA and then whatever it is. So this is going to be IA movement. Movement. Forget how to spell sometimes. We're going to add just basic keys of A and D. A for left, D for right. Next, we're going to add one. Create a new input action again. IA underscore jump. So this is going to be jumping. I'm going to add two for this. I'm going to have W and also space. And then I believe there is one more, which may have slipped my mind and I feel really stupid for. Run, jump. I had another one in my personal project, which I'm not going to be doing for this one. That is why. Yeah. You also see, this is opened as its own tab. Once you kind of move them, they will always open up back there. So it might be a bit annoying at first, but as you keep working, you'll get used to it and it'll be fine. Yeah. So final things before we get off this. You're going to want to go into here, actions, and you're going to find both your info actions right here. We're going to go into movement. And you'll see here, it says digital boolean. This is basically true or false. It's the button being held. That's fine for jump, as both keys do the same thing. However, for movement, they do separate things. So we're going to want to set this to vector 2D. And now that we've got an axis, so it'll be able to go left and right. Axis 1D, sorry. I'm stupid, forget. Axis 1D. So it'll be able to go left and right. And so now, currently, both of these will just go in the same direction because they haven't been changed. So the final thing we need to do, this is going to make it so our character goes left. We're going to click on modifiers, index 0, and you're going to want to look for scalar. And if you open this up again, they'll all be 1s. Very simple, change them all to -1. And that's your actions set up. That's done. We're not, hopefully, not going to have to touch that at all again. And you're done. So next up is going to be making your character. So in the characters folder, create a new folder and name your character. I'm just going to be running with what I've named my character in the other thing, so Kishi. And in here, this is where it gets very subjective, obviously, when it's organizing. Lay it out how you want, lay it out how it feels good. The way we like to lay it out is by having 3 folders in here, which is where all the assets are held and other stuff. So first, we're going to have animations. Animations. We're going to have next animation sequence, which you will recognize from PaperZD if you've used it. Anime sequence, yeah. This is, and then finally, last one is going to be sprite sheets. And now we're going to make a lot of files very quickly in prep, but don't worry, it's nothing too complicated. In PaperZD, we're going to create, ignore, lovely flash in there. Thank you, Unreal. I hope no one's suffered from that. There we go. Yeah, so first you're going to want to make an animation source, and you're going to call that whatever you want. We go anim source, and then name that the same as your character. It's recommended. So I'm naming my anim source Kishi. And then we're going to go back down, and we want this one, PaperZD anim BP. This is going to be your animation blueprint, and it's going to connect to your animation source. And this is going to be ABP, and then character name again. And then this is the final bit, and we're getting to the good bit here. We're going to add a new blueprint class, all classes. And if you just type in ZD, you will get this one, PaperZD character. And this is where we get started. So yeah, name that whatever you want. I'm just going to name mine BP underscore Kishi, as it's my character. And yeah, so let's get started, shall we? Yeah. So you're going to want to open this. It's not going to look like much, but we're going to get to making it look visual in a moment. We're going to just do some very basic setup. So this is kind of what you should do first. However, before I forget, make sure we drag that up here. We've got to make sure that the character will actually spawn. So we're going to go back to our game mode. And if you open it, you're going to get a whole lot of stuff. You can close everything here, bar this details. You won't need anything else. You're going to want to go to default pawn class, as we mentioned earlier, and you're going to want to find your character. So BP, whatever it is. And it will have this slightly different icon showing that it is a PaperZD character. Click on that and save. And that's going to make your character load in once we have all that bit set up. But yeah, so we're going to get 2 things running off this node up here, event begin play. So there's 2 main things we want running off this. First of all, we want it so you can actually move. So cast a player controller. Player, I can't spell, controller. Yep, so it's going to be this one. Then dragging off of object, you want to search up get controller. And it's just going to be that first one. And it's going to be from self and target is pawn, like this. And then you're going to want to drag off as player controller. And this is a doozy. It's enhanced. And once you type in enhanced, there's going to be 2 options. You want to click this pink one and get this. It's an odd one, but it's the necessary one. And off of this, add mapping context, which you'll get this. You connect these 2. You connect cast to player controller to add mapping context, like so. You will see that the enhanced input local player subsystem is went to target, and here for mapping context, you're going to want to select your controller, and that's going to let you move. So another thing, and this is setting up a bit ahead of a time, so might be a bit confusing, but it'll make your actual animation timeline a lot easier to work with. So this one's very simple. We're going to type cast to and then ABP, and then you'll get whatever you named your animation blueprint. And then off this is going to be a bit of a longer one. you're going to want to type in anim instance, get animation instance. Here we go. That's wrong. Wait. You want to do it the other way around, I believe. Animation component. Oh, lovely. Which one is it? Oh, I should have double checked this. This is my comma. Oh, wait, I just got the wrong one. Whoops. Anim instance. Which one is it? This one. The one under utilities. Under animation, under utilities, get anim instance. I lied. I lied. Which one is it? Am I stupid? Maybe. Maybe. I should have double checked this. I made sure to get photos of everything. This one? No. What the fuck? Which one is it? But I'm dumb. Okay. Yeah. So when you type in animation component, that's what you're going to want to type in, if I can spell. If you scroll all the way down, it will be under variables, under paper ZD, get animation component. It took way longer than necessary. And then off this, anim instance, it's going to be get anim instance. And then you can drag this into object, just like so. And then, yeah, you can have this. And then off of this, you're just going to right click as ABP and then your name, promote to variable, and it will do this. I'm just going to rename this to ABP Kishi. And then that's basic setup. We're going to get to what this does soon. But for now, we're going to ignore it. So we've got the basics set up for the character, but let's actually get the place set up. This is loaded up a wrong one when I reloaded it from the plugins, I believe. Probably moved locations. Yep. Going to save selected, as always. Never a bad thing to do. Yeah. So this is when you're going to want to go to Windows Environment Light Mixer, if you didn't already. And there's going to be 5 buttons here. You're just going to click them all. And you've got a world. Very simple. That's all you had to do for that. Next, we're just going to go to this button down here in the Place Actors, which you can also find in Windows up here. You're going to go to Place Actors, Geometry, and then you're going to find Box. Drag this in. Just going to center it by going over to Location and setting it all to 0. Going to drop the Z so it becomes a lot thinner because we don't need it that thick at all. So we're going to set that to 20. And then we don't need the depth. That's the wrong one. We don't need the... Which one is it? It's... I know off the top of my head if I do this. Yeah, I was actually doing the right one. Who would have guessed? Yeah, so you're going to want to squish the Y as well, as this is 2D, so we don't need distance that way. I'm going to set this to 1,000. And there you go. So this is where your... Can I remember how to use this? This is where your character's going to be to start with. One final thing under Place Actors is going to be... If you just go to here, and you type in game, please. Oh, game start. Player start. That's it. Not game start. You're going to want to just click here. I recommend clicking on there. And then if you don't mess with the height, you just center both of these like so. So then, yeah, your player will spawn there on beginning play. If we click play now, wow, this looks wrong. It looks like there is no player. I can't move. That's fine. We're going to get to movement in a moment. However, one more thing we want to do before that fact is there's no graphics. We're not going to go deep into doing all the animation stuff now. However, we need something so we can at least see that our character can move. So we're going to go into characters, into Kishi, and this is basically go to wherever you have stuff. So I'm going to go into animations. I'm going to make a new animation, new folder. I'm going to call this idle. Go into idle. And now I'm going to drag in Minifox, which we were looking at earlier. Yeah. So we're going to drag in Minifox, and you can see it's became a texture. So, wow, what are we going to do with this now? Simple. You're going to hit Apply Paper 2D Texture Sections. You're going to want to do that on everything. Next, you want to go down to Sprite Actions once again, Extract Sprites. Over here, Grid, and we're going to change where it says Sprite here to Idle. So I've already checked, and I know this height of each cell is 32 by 32. So you can see that. However, the idle is only this top one up here. So I don't want any of the others. So cell heights, this one's going to want to be 4 because it's so long. And we only want 1 height. So like that. If you wanted to get the second one, for example, I will show this later, but you can just go to margin, 32, and it will lower it. So whatever the height of a cell is, you can just lower it like that. But for now, this is all we need. And I'm going to hit extract. And you can see we have all the frames. For now, I'm going to move my sprite sheet back over into here, where it's going to reside most of the time, unless I need to make a new one. So let's just give it a second to move. And we're going to do one final thing before we make it into a flipbook. This is completely optional. However, I like to do it. It adds a lot of, I think, quality, and it also adds a lot of redundancy later down the line. So, asset actions, edit selection and property matrix, and you're going to get taken to this sheet. Okay? You're going to want to go to sprite. So basically what this is it's just like editing the details in anything else, but this will find the same details over all of them, and you can edit them all at once. We're going to go to here, pivot mode, and you're just going to change that to bottom center, and you're going to change pixels per unit to 0.2, which basically just makes the sprite 5 times bigger without losing any quality. And the pivot mode is just changes where the pivot point is, which you will see in action in a moment. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back to content browser, right click on it, create flipbook, and that's your flipbook. So looking at it, it's looking quite fast. You're going to want to set your frames per second to whatever you want. 24, 30, 60, 12, whatever you like. For this project, I'm using 24 personally, but now it's really fast. So you're going to want to change all these into whatever frame makes sense. So by frame run, it's how many frames does this sprite take up. For this animation, I found that 3 for my character works really well. Not 23, 3. So I'm going to set all of them to 3. And you can see there's my idle animation for the character. So now that we have the fox idle done, we're going to close this, and we're going to go back in our character. We're going to click viewport up here. We're going to go over to sprite, source flipbook, and then you're going to select mini fox idle or whatever your animation's called. And then you're going to want to go into here where it says animation component, anim instance class, and select ABP keyshi or whatever your character's called. And that's going to refer to all your animations further down the line. Now, there's a few more things we need to do in here. As you can see, because we have the pivot point as bottom, they're kind of a bit off. So we're going to want to move the character down. You're going to want to find whatever's right for you. I found out for this character, -24 works quite well for getting it centered. And you're going to want to change this capsule. I found that actually having as a ball works pretty nicely, although pretty off here. So I'm going to drop the radius down all the way so I can focus on getting the height first. I found that if I have it perfectly, it tends not to work very well. So I'm going to just have it as 20. Actually, that's a bit small. 23. Yeah, that looks good. I can edit it later if need be. And 23, so yeah, that's my hitbox. Each character is going to vary. This is quite a small, compact character. However, most humanoids will more so be an actual capsule. It varies character to character. So yeah, one quick thing I should mention before we move on. Up here, where it says compile, I'd recommend clicking the 3 dots next to it. Save on compile on success only. It'll make it a lot easier, and it'll even save it as you go. So you don't have to worry about losing too much. That's also another good note. Just save. You're gonna be happy for it. But yes. So now we're gonna make it so we can actually play. So how do you play? Well, you've got to be able to see what you're doing. So we're gonna add. I've completely forgotten what it's called. Oh my god. If you search up arm, you get a spring arm. That's what I'm looking for. And then on the end of this, so if you've highlighted it just by clicking on it, you click add again, camera. And then this is going to be what you see through whenever you're playing. Yeah. So you're going to have your character. So this is kind of off. So we're going to go to spring arm. rotate, and then rotate this minus 90. I know it's kind of weird, but that's correct. If you want yours at an angle as well, you might want to increase it a bit like this. I know it's kind of counterproductive to do the whole spin, but you kind of gotta. So yeah, you can do something like that if you want, but I don't. And this thing's going to come in handy later. You're going to want to click rotation world. I'll explain why later. And for the exact same reason, you don't want to click search, and let's see if it's snuck in. If we go to up here, yeah. So if you click on your main character up here, type in your, and you'll see this. Use controller rotation your. Okay, so yes, you're going to want to have use controller rotation your also turned off for the same reason that what we just did, but we'll get to that in a moment. Finally, in the viewport, you're going to want to go to here, camera, select it, get rid of what you searched up before, and here, where it says perspective, change it to orthographic. You might want to have it to whatever you like, it's your choice. Personally, I'm going to go 796. If I've done my math correct, yeah, 796. Because that's 84, 284. Yeah, I've done my maths correctly, I think. Oh god, I'm questioning my own maths here. No, I was wrong. It's 768. So yeah, I'm personally going to change it to that. You can change it to whatever. That's just how big the camera is. And now, if we save, we can go to here, click play, and hey, look, that's us. However, we can't move. What's up with that? Well, that's simple. We're going to go back into your character, and here, let's get movement going. You're going to want to type in IA underscore, and you're going to get this. These are your events for your movement and your inputs. We're going to click movement here, and you're going to get this. Very simple. It's very similar to other stuff. And this is going to be super simple. On where it says action value here, you're going to right click, and then, oh shit, I lie. You're not going to want to right click. I've made this simpler for myself. Yeah, so you're going to want to go off here, and you want to drag off and type in add movement input. And this is going to be how you move. Very simple. It's a single node. To make this work properly, you want to click on world direction here, right click it, and where it says split struct pin, split it. It's going to expand a lot, but that's good. And you're going to drag action value off and connect it to world direction X. Save, compile. And if you load it, you can see we're now moving. But there's still quite a bit wrong with this. First, let's work on one of the aesthetic bits, that being we're not turning. That's a very simple fix. And this is why we ended up turning off the yaw, as well as made our camera rotate on world instead of relative. So, compare float, and you're going to want this one, the one with the M next to it. And you're going to want to drag this, the same action value, into your input. I'm going to have mine just snake around, just because I like it being neat. Obviously, you're not created off how neat it is, just how well it works, so don't worry about it. Next, we're going to go set actor rotation, and you're going to get this one under transform, and you're just going to leave that as is, and then you're going to copy paste, or you can just search it up again, either or, and you want to get this bottom one, the less than, connect it, and change Z to 180. Save, and then if we run it, now we flip. We flip with whichever direction we hold, which is great. But it doesn't look very nice, does it? So it's time for all the animation stuff. And this can be a bit of a doozy. However, I'll try to go over it very neatly, I guess. So before we go any further, we are going to want to go into animation sequences. You're going to want to go down to Paper ZD, animation sequence, select this, and you're going to want to type in whatever you want it. So I like to do name and then underscore, then the animation. So yeah, we've got Kishi Idol, and we're going to go back into Kishi, the home folder, and click on the animation source. You can also get here through clicking on the animation sequence, which would probably be a lot quicker. They both go to the same place though. And in it, you want to make sure you've got this correct one selected, animation data, and you want to select your idle animation. Hey, look at it, it's our fox, it's Kishi. You can close this, that's all you have to do, very simple. And now, this is where it gets slightly more complicated, admittedly. You're going to want to go to ABP. You can ignore this for now, very briefly though. Yeah, we don't need it for now. Here, so this is where we're going to get started. You're going to right click, go to state machine, add new state machine, or you can just search up state machine and link it up. And this is going to be where all the work is done. So you can name this whatever. You can name it the title. You can name it main. A lot of people name them locomotion. I'm going to name mine locomotion. That's what I like. The name itself doesn't specifically matter. And so you come here. This out node is it goes out from there and it goes into what will be your first animation. So we're going to go to animation state. This is very different from the state of this being a state machine. This is a state itself. And we're going to type in idle/walk state. And then we're just going to drag this into here. And this is now idle/walk. So off here, you're going to want to drag it and then select animation by bool. And then you're going to have two animations. We're going to have the false animation be the idle, so play Kishi idle. But now we need a true animation. And considering that the false is idle, the true is going to be walk. So if we go back into here, I'm going to create a new folder, name this walk. And I'm going to go to my spreadsheet, drag it in walk, move here, give it a second, just because I'm recording, it takes slightly longer. Go into here, and I'm going to go down, sprite actions, extract sprites, same as before. I'm going to change sprite to walk, auto to grid, 32 and 32. Number of cells, well, it's another 4 and 1. However, it starts on the second row, so I'm going to go 32. I did the wrong one, whoops. We're going to go 32. And it's going to move it down perfectly, as you can see. For reference, when you're doing animations, you want to make sure it's kind of lined up with the bottom. This one's not because they're mid-air, but you don't want them lined up with the foot on the bottom. Going to want to make sure of that. Extract. Going to move that back to spreadsheets because I don't want it in my folder. So yeah, we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. So select all your sprites here. Asset actions. Edit selection and property matrix. 0.2. Bottom center. Save. For reference, if you make the flip book before you do that, it's fine. Nothing breaks. If you go back and edit these, then the flip book will automatically update. So you don't have to stress about that. I'm going to go back, change this back to 24, so it gets even faster. But this is again, all these are going to get dropped down to 3. I think that's what looks good. And there we go. There's my walk animation, or I guess run might be a bit more apt. We're going to go back to animation sequences, paper ZD, animation sequence, Kishi_walk, double click it, and select the walk animation. Save, and we're going to go into the blueprint. The true animation's going to be play Kishi walk. And there we go. So now what's going to be the select? What's going to let us select it? Well, this is going to be very simple. We're going to be going and doing something slightly complicated, not too complicated, very, very simple, very simple. Event graph, and you want to go to this one down here. Event on initiate, like so when it first starts, when it first runs, when it's initialized, you're gonna want to drag off this and want to go cast to BP_Kishi like this, and you're gonna want to drag off this, get owning actor, and then you're gonna right click as this, promote variable, and I'm going to change this to be called owner ref. So it's the owner reference, and we're going to use this immediately. So we're going to drag owner ref, get owner ref off this, get velocity. Where are you? Get velocity right at the bottom here. Split, and we're going to want the Z. So the X, that's going to be walking. and then you're going to say, is this not equal? Or you can do the exclamation and equals to 0. If so, that's going to be true, and that's going to mean we're walking. So now let's see if we've got this right. Has anything went horribly wrong? Maybe. It's me after all. You can see the idle animation. We're walking, we're running. There you go. Very simple. We have our basic walk animations. So, next, after animations, we should have jumps. We want to jump around. We're a fox. We should be able to. So, I'm going to go back into the character. I'm going to go same thing as movement up here. You're going to do IA_jump. You get the jump. So this one's different. You can see it's a Boolean because it's red, but that's correct because we only need to know if it's been pressed, which is actually done by triggered. So this is completely irrelevant. And if triggered, very simple, jump. That's it. That's all you gotta do. But how do we get the animation to work? Well, you could get the animation to work by detecting if they have a z velocity, so if they go up. But that presents a whole lot of issues. I mean, there's loads of reasons you might go up. Ramps, for example. So, how are we going to do it? Well, the way we're going to do it is by right-clicking and saying jump. And this is a jump node. Ironically, the first jump node we're going to use is going to be called jump. And we're going to drag that off to an animation state and call this jump state. Jump state. Cool. And now you might be wondering, well, what's this all about? Why have we got a jump state? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. However, admittedly, it's going to get a little more complicated, but this will ensure that you have a very redundant. That's not the right word. Redundant means what would the right word be? Resistant. You're going to have a very good jump and falling system. So, we're going to go back. Oh, I should redo this whole thing. Actually, wait, no. We haven't done jump yet. Okay, never mind. I don't have to redo stuff. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to have the jump state, and then drag off this. We're going to have a new state, and this is going to be called falling state. Because we're falling down, just like London Bridge. And then from this, we're going to get another jump, and I'm going to name this one falling. Because there's reasons you might be falling other than a jump. So that's why we're going to have this. And we're then going to drag this back here. We're going to get to the rules in a moment. Before that, we are going to want to go and get back into our character. We have the jump. So what we're going to do is for that, we need to go into the animation blueprint event graph back up here. And you're going to want to type custom event. And you don't want to say fallen. And if fallen is true, then go over to variables over here. New Boolean is fallen. So if the fallen event's called, then set is fallen to true. Well, we're also going to want to have one, so another custom event, for if we've landed. And this is going to work the same, except it's going to set fallen to false. We're going to neaten this up a little bit just by doing this. Cool. So how are we going to use these? Well, these are going to be used for these rules right here. So the jump state is going to go to the fallen state once and only once is fallen is true. Because you're not going to want to be falling while you're still going up. And then fallen state is going to go back to the idle walk state when is fallen is false. So we're going to want to get is fallen, and then you're going to want to get a not bool and drag it into here. Like so. And now when you're no longer falling, you will land. So let's get the animations for that up then, because we've got this done. So animations come next. We're going to go animations. We're going to make a new folder, jump, another new folder, fall. And then, once again, take our spreadsheet. We're going to put it into jump, move here. Up, and then we're going to go extract sprites. grid, and then we're going to name this jump. I'm going to leave the count just because it keeps everything very neat. Number of cells. So if we look at the jump animation here, it has 3 frames: a jump, a fall, and a land. I'm going to be omitting the land from this for now, but we're going to be focusing on these 2 frames. So it is 1 frame and 1 frame high. It is 2 frames down, so 64. Sorry, wrong one. So 64. There you go. And that's the jump frame. Extract. Put this into fall, as that's where we're going to need it next. And then you're going to want to go and you can just double click it. You don't need to do the matrix. Okay, great. Thank you, I guess. And you're going to want to... Where is it in this one, actually? That's a good question. That's a damn good question, man. Where is it? Yeah. Oh, right here. Yeah, so once you're in this, you can see your fox or your character. Bottom center, 0.2 as always. And now we have our fox jumping. I'm going to go back here. And then right click, create flipbook. Name it whatever you want. Mine's mini fox jump. Then animation sequences. New paper ZD animation sequence for that animation source. Jump. I did not capitalize that. Do not like that. And then we're going to go here, jump, and yeah, it's going to look very weird because it's a single frame, but this is how we're doing it. It's how I'm doing it at the very least. And yeah, as you may have noticed, I didn't set the jump to like 24 frames and all that. It doesn't really matter. It's a single frame. You won't notice it. And if they do, then they've got one hell of an eye, and I don't even know how they will have. So, extract sprite once again. This is very simple. This is going to be fall, if I can capitalize my words correctly. 32 by 32. Number of cells, 1, 1. We're going to want 32 because it's the second in the second column, 64 because that's how far down it is. And yeah, we can see it selected the fall, extract, drag that into sprite sheets as we don't need it for now. Create flipbook. So yeah, like I was saying, you can create the flipbook first, and as long as you fix this one, then you're not going to have an issue. Sprite, pixels per unit, 0.2. Pivot mode, bottom center. Save. And now we have the fall animation as well. It's going to be very fast, as we're about to see, but that's alright for the reasons I previously explained. This animation source, Kishi, fall. We're going to go into this. And we're going to, before I forget, I'm going to save. As always, you should always save. And you should fall. And there we go. Now we have the fall as well. So, content browser, animation blueprint. We're going to go to the jump state, drag off this, jump. And that's all. That's what most of these states are going to be. They're just going to be a single node. And we're going to go fall. But now, if we try this, it may not work for multiple reasons. We're going to make our way through all of them. The first reason is we haven't actually got it to play the animation. We're going to get that to happen by dragging ABP Kishi. This is why we did it earlier. Get ABP Kishi. Drag off it. Jump to node. And then you're going to type in the name. So the name for this one is going to be jump. And the state machine is from locomotion. So that's why we named it. So main or whatever. And then you're going to drag this. And then, yeah, there you go. So now, when we jump, they're going to jump. Look at that. But they haven't fallen. They haven't reset. Why is that? Well, that's because if you remember, we set the conditions to going through these to be dependent on this variable, which we actually haven't talked about anywhere. So let's get that fixed. So, jump node. Off of this, off of this, in fact, you want to drag and you want to type nothing. I lied. I fibbed. So, yeah. To get this all working properly, you want to type event tick. You don't really want to use event tick too much. It's not great, but this is one of the occasions where I do use it. And we're going to get, I accidentally delete Kishi. It's my bad. Get Kishi, pick that up. And then event tick. So first off, we're going to be getting a branch. This is just your if statement. What is this? What is this branch dependent on? What is it dependent on? We're going to do get velocity once again, and this is going to make a lot of sense. You've seen this very similarly, but instead of the y-axis, we're going to use the x-axis. We're going to use the z-axis, and we're going to say if it is less than 0, because if it's less than 0, it's falling. If we did not equal to 0, then they may also be climbing. They might be going higher, which we don't want. So yeah. That's the condition. And if that is true, then as ABP Kishi, so we can just drag it off this, or you can make it again, we're going to want to say falling. So now, if it is true that they are going down, then it's going to switch to them falling. But that was kind of janky. Why is that not working? Well, that's a very simple fix. What we're going to want to do is type in land, event on landed, and this is going to be very simple. Once again, drag off this. And you're just going to type in land, and you've landed. And now, if we run it, jump, fall, land, jump, fall, land. You can have an emitter frame, and that is another very simple thing to add. You would just drag this up, add another state, and let's actually do that. Let's actually add it. So we're going to want a landing frame now, because we had one, we may as well use it. It's going to make our character look extra nice, and it's going to really pull it all together. So, go on to animation, new folder, land. We're going to want to get spreadsheets. We've done this multiple times. You should all be used to this. Land, move here. Fractions, extract. Grid. Then type this in, land. Then you're going to want to type these in. 32, 32, 1, 1. Margin for both of these is going to be 64 because that's where it is. It's free. Extract. We have our frame. Move this back to spreadsheets. Move here. Going to go assets, actions, edit selection. You don't want to go sprite. 0.2. Bottom center. Save. Always save everything. No reason no. Foxland. So for this one, we are actually going to want to make sure it's set correctly, even though it is just a single frame. So I've got it set to what I want. We'll get to Y in a moment. And then we're going to go back to here because we need to make it an animation sequence. Source, Kishi underscore land. Land, set the land frame like this. So cool, that's the land frame. Now we're going to go back to the animation blueprint. Whoops, animation blueprint. And we're going to get rid of this because now we are adding another thing, land. Oh, sorry. Animation state. You want to name this state land. And then in this, you want to do get that is fallen, not bool, like this. Cool. And now we have this set up again. So they're going to go to land, which we're going to set up by just going land, play Kishi land, save. And now, what are we going to use to go from this? Well, very simple. For this, we're going to type in time remaining. And you're going to see time remaining and then in brackets the animation from the previous one. And then you can say is less or equal, just in case, to 0. And if so, it can enter the transition. So now if we give this a go, you'll see we can walk left, right, jump, fall, land. But it didn't go back properly. Why is that? Well, this is the key thing. When you've got time remaining, you need to make sure that land, this here, in the Kishi land, you want to make sure loop animation is off. Otherwise, it's just going to keep playing for eternity, and that is why we specifically went in land and set it to be the correct frame time. So now, jump, fall, land. Doesn't that look good? Jump, fall, land. But, I'm a fox. I want to change how my jumping works. So we're going to go very basic jumping, and this is super simple. If you just type in jump here, you're going to find the settings. Very, very simple. All of this is all you need. You can change your max jump count. So let's try setting this to 8, for example. Complete overkill, and this is why. Because you can just keep jumping, which is completely unnecessary. We're not Kirby who's fallen off a stage. And keep going, which we're going to sort in a second. So I only want one jump. You can change stuff like max hold time and whatnot. I don't want any of that changed. However, I don't want to jump a time. I only want to jump 350 centimeters a second high, for example. And when it comes to air control, I want my character to have more air control. I want them to feel like they can move in the air a bit and save themselves. So now I've got a much lower jump. I still jump a good distance, but I can kind of move myself back in case I'm overshooting. And I'm pretty happy with that. The one final thing is that currently, if you hold it, you'll just keep bouncing. You might like this, and you might want to leave it as is. However, if you're like me, you might not like it for this example, and you're going to want to go to jump and change the triggered to started instead. You just alt-click on that to get rid of it, like that. And that's going to make it so it's only when it's started or when the hold is first initiated. So you can see I'm holding right now. Well, you can't see that, but yeah, I'm holding right now, and it's not continuing. So yeah, there you go. And so now that's kind of basic movement done, as well as the animations for it. So now we've got a few more things to go over. Not too much, but this is really what's going to matter. So to begin with, you save. Always save. Keep saving. So we're going to close both of these because we don't need them anymore. I lied. I fibbed. There's one last thing we want to do. When it's falling like this, you're also going to want to go off here. Well, go off here. Jump to node. And you're going to want to set this to fallen. And then locomotion. You might be asking, why do I need this? Well, the reason is this fallen here, this only applies to if you've jumped first, because that's the only case it checks for the fallen variable this changes. Otherwise, if you just run off the edge like you can now, it wouldn't update. Now, it will update. That's what we just done. So yeah, now that we've got that all done, we're going to add some other stuff. Let's start off by adding, possibly a very important thing, collectibles. We're going to go into blueprints, and we're going to click new blueprint class, actor, and we're going to name this BP underscore collectable. Now, pretty foolishly, I forgot to prepare a collectible, but we can sort that right now. So I'm going to go to add, and then you're going to want to do capsule collision. And seeing as I'm going to be using like a coin sort of thing, I want mine to be a sphere, like this. Next, I'm going to actually have to import my sprite. So I'm retconning what I said earlier. I'm doing this to assets, and then, or I guess visual makes more sense. Visuals. Yep, so this is now visuals. I'm going to make a tile folder in here for later. In the meantime, though, I'm going to say assets. And in assets, I'm going to find my coin, which I did not prepare. So for the coins, I'm going to be using this almost basically mega pack of loads and loads of coins. As always, apply paper 2D textures to get this. And we are going to, I'm going to, in here, I really didn't lay this out very well, did I? This is why you need to improv. So, new folder, coins, in assets, put this in here, move, and now we're going to extract. We've done this many times before. But, wow, look at all this. This is a lot to extract. Very simply for me, though, I don't need to worry about that. I know what I want. So, I'm going to figure out how to extract that. So, this one has a few options, like turn in, a gleam, and the like. So what I'm going to use for mine is, out of all of this, so many great options to pick from, isn't there? Well, I'm just going to go for the very simple, very easy, tiny coin. Nah, I'm not. Going for these big coins up here. It's easy to use and it's going to look nice. So, I'm going to name this to coin, like so. And I'm going to go to grid. And yeah, bits like this are going to need quite a little bit of improv. But that's what you've got to get good at in times like this. I'm going to increase my margin a bit, just until... Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. Okay. 1. Yeah. Jesus, I did not mean to do that. Yeah, so I'm going to set my margin, my cell widths, to 16 by 16 for now. Reason for that is, when you're adjusting stuff like margins, it needs to actually be able to have something to adjust, and if it's too big, then it's just going to disappear. So, what I'm going to do is try and find a place that lines up pretty well. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that lines up, so I'm going to figure that out now. So that's going to need another 16 width on it, on not that one, on this one. It's going to need another 16. So this is going to become 17. And then we're going to need quite a bit more on here. So I'm just going to jump this up a bit until it's lined up correctly. I think it would be 178 off the top of my head. No, 77? No, 6. Yeah, there you go. Cool. And now, how many do I want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, 7 by 1. And then we go. I've got my coins. I'm going to extract as we did before. And same stuff, even though it's a different item. We're going to edit selection property matrix. Set pixels per unit to 0.2. I am going to leave pivot mode to center though. As I don't really need to worry about having bottom center is really good for stuff that moves. The coins aren't going to move, so I'm just leaving it as center as it makes it easier to work with. So next thing is we're going to right click, create flipbook. And I named all of these horribly. Oh my lord. Okay. I should have changed the name. Whoops. Coins underscore. Yeah. Golden. Yeah. So cool. You can see I've got my sprite, and then here we've got the output. I'm going to update this to be the same frame as everything else. And then I'm going to go through and edit the frame runs as we've done multiple times before. So I think 2 should look good, hopefully. It'll be probably a little bit of a fast gleam, but I'm all right with that. You may even want this one to be a bit longer. So it's like this. You may like that. And I think I'm going to run with that. Cool. So now we're going to go to BB Collectable. I'm going to add flipbook, paper flipbook. Wow, look, it's selected the right one straight away. Almost immediately. So yeah, here you go. Before we start changing sizes of stuff, I want to see how big it is in stage. So I'm just going to press start to get myself back up. And then we're going to go to content draw just to drag it off into level. Now that's a big one, isn't it? That's a very big coin. I want that to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to go into collectible. I'm going to select the coin and I'm going to scale it down. Hit the lock so it scales all evenly. And I think 0.25 will look good. Yep. And now I need to also change the hitbox, the capsule, to be correctly sized. So just going to line this up with something I'm happy with. Just going to line myself up as it would work kind of weirdly otherwise. It doesn't need to be too precise, just needs to feel correct. So I'm going to set it to 9, like this. Boom. Now we've got our hitbox over the collectible. Okay. And so we're going to save. And you can see if we go back to the level, it's a lot smaller now. And we're going to move it up. Press play. And look, there's our coin. However, we're not interacting with it. Let's make it so we can interact with it. We are going to... Give me a second to think. Yeah, so we're going to go back into Collectable. We're going to go to Event Graph. And we're going to be using both of these two things. Event active begin overlap and begin play. So off of begin play, we're going to say cast to BP underscore Kishi. We're going to have to do this a few times, but this will hopefully not be too many. You're going to do get player pawn. And then, as always, promote variable. Get rid of, just rename it. So however you're happy with. Compile to make sure it's worked. And then you're going to say, drag off other actor down here to begin with. And you're going to do equals. And so first, we're going to check if, just in case, that the other character, the other thing that this coin will overlap with is definitely the player. And that's what this does. And so we're going to do a branch. So type in branch. And off the branch, we're going to drag this. And if it is true that they're the same, well, there's a few things we're going to do. First, in Kishi, we're going to go down, create another custom event. And then we're going to get, call this collect. And then back in Collectable, we're going to go into here. And we're going to go as PP Kishi, collect. Yep. And then there's one last thing we're going to do. And this is kind of crucial. We're going to go off of this destroy actor. And this is going to be self. And so now, once they connect, you can see it destroys itself. It looks a bit weird because of the hitboxes of the fox, but yeah. So you can see it's destroying, the coin's destroying itself, which is good. So now, in Kishi, this is going to go off every time we hit one of those coins. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to say, I'm going to name this count for coin count. I'm going to change it from a Boolean to an int. And now we're going to do get count. We're going to actually first compile it. If you click on here, you will see, if you get rid of any variables, you'll see this. And basically, all you want to do is set default value down here to 0. Make sure it's set to 0. That's all you got to do. And now count. So on that, it is going to print text. No, sorry. It's going to, you're going to drag count and you're going to do set count. And it's going to be count plus 1. And then count. Like this. Yep, you can see. So when it's count, when you hit count and it collects, it will set count to count plus 1. And just to test, we're going to do print text, and then we're going to get this. Really, you should use print string, but it doesn't matter too much. Compile, run, and yeah, you can see at the top left it printed 1. That's good. Now, what happens if we paste a few of these in, eh? Well, you want to make sure it all works. Can we collect them in the sky? Well, we're going to find out. That might be too high, actually. No, it won't. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we collected them all perfectly. And that's very basic collecting items. But, come on, we want to make this look good. So it's time to get into the UI. And this can be a little confusing, but I like to try and keep this simple. So, what we're going to do is scroll up in BP Kishi to, if you scroll up, you want to find, once again, your begin play. And in begin play, what you're going to want to do is, well, before that, we actually need to create the widget. So we're going to go to UI. You're going to go down, down, down to user interface. And then you want to click widget blueprint. And then just use a widget, it's fine. And then name it whatever you want. So I'm going to name it WP, and then I'm going to name it what? What's it going to be? HUD, because it's heads up display. And now we're into this. So we're going to search firstly for a canvas panel. You just drag this on, you're going to get this. Perfect, all you need. Next, we're going to get text. Drag text on, and we're going to make sure the anchor is set to top left. And then you set position to 0, 0. And then you're going to want to mess with the alignment. This is going to make sure it's kind of similar spaced on all screen sizes. I'm going to set both these to -1. So it's kind of indented like that. Actually, I'm going to change that to 0.5. That's the wrong one. I'm going to change this one to -0.5 to that. And now, you see it says text block. We don't want that. What do we want? Well, you don't want to go down to here and click bind and create binding. Now, it's going to take you to this, but we've got to do a little more. And to make this quick, go to BP Collectable, select this, not the variable, as you'll have to rename that anyway. Copy it, go over to here, make sure you're in event graph, and then on pre-construct, cast to BP Kishi, get player pawn, or get owner might work actually, now that I think about it. Get owning actor. No, yeah, so you want to get player pawn. And as you want to promote to variable, I'm going to name this owner ref again. Cool. So now we have this text. What are we going to do with it? As owner ref. So you're going to get owner ref. And you go as owner ref, get, what did I name it? Count. So get count. So now you have the coin count. Drag this here. And yeah, you can see that it's kind of automatically done the conversion. And if you save and run, nothing's happened. Where is it? Well, there's a little more we have to do. It's never that simple. Off of begin play, up here, event begin play, what you're going to want to do is you want to go create WB or whatever you've named it. WB, oh wait, sorry. Create widget here. And then you go and select the widget. We're going to be selecting WB Hub as this. And one more thing, add to viewport. And once you've done that, compile. Oi, what do you not like? What did you not? Oh. And then, yeah, once you've done that, compile, run it, and you can see the 0 up here. And now, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. You've got a counter, and it displays it on screen. If you want to make this a bit fancier, what you can also do is go to here, go to up here, which is how you switch between the designer and graph. You can add an image like this. And what are we going to make it? Well, you want to go to brush, and then you can select your image. Now I'm going to select coin. If I type in coin, yeah, you can see the coin. This isn't letting me select a flipbook. Can you select a flipbook? I believe you should be able to. Yeah. So here you go. You can see I've got my coin. I am going to resize this so it's the same, like so. I'm going to shrink it a little bit because it's a bit big. So I'm actually going to change it to 50-50. And then position 0, 0. However, this is actually going to be, what are you? You are alignment 0.5 or 1, sorry. So we're going to go here, alignment 1, -1, sorry. And then we're going to, so you have to alter that slight bit so it's kind of heighted correctly. This is a lot of hit and go. It's not end of world if it's not lined up correctly. You can do it however you want, really. I'm actually going to go back on what I said earlier. For this, for the HUD, I'm going to go off position because the position is based on the anchor. So we're going to start off by positioning this just kind of around here. So I'm going to go 50, that I meant to do 50 there. 50, 50. So there. And then we're going to move the text block just to the side of it. Kind of line that up. What seems right. Bit more down because the coin's a bit bigger than the text box is. To fix that, we're going to go 50. This. And then 50. Justification. Yeah, that's not going to work. I lie, I fib, I improv. 40, and then you want to change this. I'm changing this to 55. That looks good. I'm happy with that. Now play. Look, there's even a coin next to it now. Wow, look at that. So that's how you do collectibles. Very simple. Yeah. Cool. So now that we've got the widgets done, we're going to get on to the next bit, being tilesets and tile maps. So just to prep, I'm going to set right here. You'll have to set this to lit, and you might want to turn off the grid. And you're going to get this side view, which is going to make it very easy to help design levels. So what are we doing now? Well, it's time for the tile maps. Let me close this previous stuff that we're no longer using. And then in here, we're going to go to tile, and we're going to drag up, if I find it. Tutorial. Yeah, so you see here, I'm going to drag this in. You can see it's moved up. There you go. Then this is very easy. As always, apply 2D, and then tile set. Yeah. So rename. I'm just going to rename this TS_main, as it's going to be our main tile set. If I can type TS main, I'm going to rename this to just main. Just gonna leave it as main. Cool. So look, we've got a tile set. Look at our tile set. Doesn't look good. So if I click, you can see it's kind of hit these tiles. Well, these are big. This is not the correct size. So we're gonna go over here, change 32 to 16, 32 to 16, and yeah, you can see now it's actually, if I do it correctly, that is, and now you can see that it's actually selecting. What the fuck? And you can see it's actually now selecting the individual squares. So I'm going to do the real quick crash course on collision. It's very simple. If it's a square, hit here and select the square you want. And then up here where it says add box, click it. And it's that simple. But it gets a bit more difficult when you have slopes, but not too much difficult. You're going to click add polygon, click point 1, 2, 3, and then go back to 1, close. And it's gonna look a bit off most of the time. You just hit snap to pixel grid and it's fixed. That's all you've got to do for slopes. I'm going to do the same for the other side. So 1, 2, 3, back to the original, and then snap to pixel grid. It gets a little more difficult in a moment, but so this is a half. This is a half slope, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, snap, and then snap to pixel grid, and then 1, 2, 3. Yep. So pixel grid. Okay. And now that we've got those slopes, it's going to get slightly more complicated by this. This is a slope, but it has 4 points. How do we do it? I personally like to click add box and then just go here and just move it down. Obviously, I'd recommend turning off the snap grid, or you can leave it on at 1, which is probably better. But yeah. And now you can see, well, isn't that good? I'm just checking if it lines up correctly. Yeah. So I'm going to have it there, and now it lines up. And we're going to do the exact same with the other side. There, grab this, lower it to about here, and there you go. I'm going to just do this one for ease. And now we've done the tile set. Obviously, you know, probably want to do that a lot more. Oh, what have I done? Obviously, you probably want to do that for all of them or most of them or a greater range of them at the very least. But for now, just most of these tiles up here is fine for me. Now, to actually be able to make the tile maps, we're going to go to down here, paper 2D, tile map, name it TM underscore and then whatever you named it, so main. Double click it, and you get dragged into this screen. Over here on active tile set, you're going to want to select your tile set here. Over here, pixels per, you're going to want to set the same as you set it everywhere else, so it keeps consistent. And now, if you go over here, save, content drawer, and then visuals, tile, TM main, drag it in. Look at this. You have your own tile map. And so, what we're going to change is this. So the tile width and height are still wrong, so we want to fix those. And also, this isn't nearly big enough. So I'm going to make this 8 high, for example, and let's make it 32 long, just so we have more than enough to use. Even that might be a bit too much. And if we go over here, look, you can see it's updated over here. So I'm going to kind of line it up just like this. So I'm happy with that. If you're like me, you might want to turn the grid on. And you're going to get... Yeah, turn the grid on. Yeah, you can see you get this blue line going straight down the middle. You might want to line it up with that, or line one of them up with it, or somewhat up with it, as well as this red line down here. Obviously, that's all personal preference and kind of unneeded. Honestly, it may even be better if you do it something like this, which is how I'm going to do it. So yeah, now that you've got this, what I'm going to do, this may seem a bit outrageous, but you'll understand why in a moment, is I'm going to delete this floor we've been using. Now, we've only got this, and if we start, oh no, we fall. That's bad. We want those coins. So, go to this, and now you can start effectively painting. So I'm going to just kind of build up a tile map here, just very basic. And then I'm going to want to use these slopes I've spent some time cutting out. You can select multiple like this, so you can have something like this. Then hit under. And even though I haven't actively done the collision for these, I can still use them, although it may be slightly dangerous in case anything goes wrong, but I believe. And so yeah, now you see it kind of looks like this. Add some shrubbery around maybe, like so, as it can look pretty bare at times. If you want to erase anything, you just click E or click erase up there. Yeah. So I'm just going to put this here, and then put this shrub up here. And now it looks a bit better. It doesn't look as flat. And now when we run, we're able to run on this. We can collect our coins. We can run up slopes. So now you've got your map. You've got your world. You can jump, collect stuff. So yeah, that's quite a lot of the stuff hit. There's a few things people may want to add though. So first, we are going to do a main menu. This is kind of showed up a little bit earlier. Didn't really do much, but showed that I was going to. And now it's time for that. So yeah, we're going to do a main menu now. So you're going to want to go back here, select your levels, main menu. And you've got your main menu. It's going to look very bland. That's fine. You're not going to see any of this world. You don't need to mess with any of this lighting stuff. All you're going to do is go to UI, new widget blueprint, use a widget, WB underscore main menu. And then let's get some stuff done. So canvas panel as always. And before I forget, I'm going to go into assets here, new folder, background. And this background, I'm going to move both of my files up that I showed off earlier. I'm going to move both of these into background. You can see them here. But they don't look very good like this. What do we have to do? Yes, that's correct. We need to apply the 2D texture settings. And you get these. And so what we're going to do, WB blueprint, and we're going to go image. And we're going to want this to be spread like this. I'm going to fix it by saying 0, 0, 0, 0. Now you can see it covers the whole thing. And we're going to type in background 2. Look at that. And then we're going to do the exact same thing as we just did. The whole thing. Get rid of all the offsets. Like so. Image. Background. Boom. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? I think I want a bit more though. I also want my fox guy. I want my fox guy in here. So I'm going to type fox. What's a good sprite? I think just the idle. One of the idle ones would probably work best. But, woof, that looks weird, doesn't it? Well, it's because it's actually a square. Oh, fox. And now, he's pretty small, so we're just going to make him a bit bigger. Something probably around this. So I'm going to say 500, 500 works. And I'm going to anchor him based off the bottom left down here. Set him around here. I'm happy with that. Our fox guy is here. And then we've actually got to make it so you can interact, so you can do stuff. Well, we're going to add some text. And in this text, we're going to put your game name. This one's I'm going to name this game Kishi, for example. Middle, and you can mess with all this other fancy stuff, your fonts, all your other stuff, but I'm not going to show that off today. You guys can figure that out. Very simple. 0, and then I'm going to set this dead center of the screen because I want my title to be nowhere else. Except for me, you want to leave the size to be big. be pretty problematic if it was a very small title. You want to set the alignment to 0.5. Sorry, to 0.5, and then 0.5, like so. I'm going to make the text bigger because it's a bit small for my liking, like this. Then like so. So 175. Position 0. Cool. I'm alright. I'm happy with that. Decently happy with that. I'm going to move it slightly higher even. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm going to want to actually add some buttons. So first, we're going to add a vertical box. Like so. Anchor it to the center. Position 0, 0, as always. And then we want to 0.5 this, so it's centered. That's the wrong centering though. I'm going to set this to -1 instead to put some depth into it. And we're going to set this to 0.5, so it's centered. And now let's change the size of this. Well, I want it about 400, should be good. And then height-wise, well, we need to fit a few buttons in this. So it depends how big the buttons are, but I think 200 to 150 should be good, actually. Like so. And now, you're going to want to get button. Like so. And then you want another button. And now, space. Yeah, so you want to space it in between both of these, which is going to help space it out. The size of this vertically, let's see. That's way too big, isn't it? That's not great either. So we're going to set the size of it vertically to be 50. Like so. And then yeah. We're going to set size to fill on both of these. So it all balances out. Yeah. So you set, if you press set size to fill on all of them, then you'll be able, then it'll auto pad itself. And then after doing so, we're going to click text, search of text, add it to each box like so. And in this first box, I'm actually going to make this a bit bigger because I think I want it to be bigger. Like this. And the space is taking up a bit too much room. So I'm going to set it to fill 0.8 instead. Probably less than that, 0.5. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to put the text in these boxes. And this space will look like it's taking up a lot, so I'm going to change this to actually 0.5. And yeah, that looks a lot better. So in this text, we're going to change this text to say start, and this text to say quit. The only two buttons you'll probably need. And on over both buttons, button 82 and button 173 apparently, both of those you click is variable up at the top. Yeah. So on both these, you want to click is variable and then scroll down and then on clicked. And you're going to get an on clicked event. So for this one, this was our start button. You should probably name them. I haven't. You're going to want to go open level by name, and you're going to want level. So level underscore test world, like so. But then what about the other button? Well, we're going to do the exact same with that. Scroll down, on clicked, the button. This one's slightly different. Execute console command. Execute console command. And this console command is going to be a very simple one. It's going to be quit. And now, once we've got both of those working, save. We have done our main menu. And I'm pretty happy with that. However, it's not going to work quite yet. We have to do one more thing, and that's actually make it show up. And to do that, you'll want to open the level blueprint. And then, on begin play, you don't want to disable input. Disable input. So, let's go through all of these targets. The first one you're going to want to target is get player character. Get player character. Then the second one, player controller, is very simple. It's get player controller. Like so. Next, off of this, you want to do create widget, like we did earlier. Class, and then you go on main menu, like so. And then you're going to want to add to viewport. Add to viewport. Link it up properly. And then you want to go set mouse, if I spell correctly, set mouse cursor widget. Just it. Oh shit. You're gonna want to drag off this and click show mouse cursor and say set show mouse cursor. Drag off it. This. Click it. Say yes. Drag it like this. And there you go. So now, when you run the main menu, you've got the map. You've got this. To make it so it's a lot clearer on how it will look properly, if I do standalone game, cancel. Yes, I know. I didn't want to do standalone game. I lied. New editor window. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see it fully. Here we go. Quit. It quits the game. But what if we click start? Hey, here we go. And we've got a game. And look at that. Doesn't that look good? So yeah, that's what you gotta do. You don't actually have to do anything with the main level of main menu, luckily enough. Make sure you've always saved. And we can close basically everything down. And we're gonna go to test world. And yeah, we're back. One final thing we want to do, as just clearing up after ourselves, is get rid of this print text. But yeah. So, we've done a lot. We've got main menus, tile sets, characters, animation. There's one or two things we're still missing though. First thing, audio. Well, both things, audio. I'm in here. I'm going to create a new folder. Call it music. In here, I'm also going to create a new folder, SFX, sound effects. And I'm going to drag both of my audio files. Make sure your music's a WAV, definitely suggested. Yes, you're going to want to make sure both and any audio files you use are WAVs, waves, whatever. Yeah. So first, let's add the music into here. So we go into audio, music. Just going to drag this in. Very simple. Going to put it here. And if we run it, how does this sound? There you go. You can hear it. Isn't that simple? if you want to edit that, you can mess with the volume multiplier and all that, make it so it's louder and all that. But there's one last thing we want to do. We've got a sound effect. We need sound effects. Who doesn't love a good sound effect? So you're gonna go and we want to add sounds. So drag off this because I want to do it after you collect it. Play sound at location. Location just doesn't matter. And I'm just going to search up what it was called. B. So yeah, you can see you get all these fancy stuff, but we don't need it. That will work. So now if we play, you can hear the sound effect plays. That's gonna get out. That's gonna play every time we play it. That's a bit quiet compared to the music, so we're just gonna go in here, volume multiplier, 2. If you may have noticed though that currently this will play at the current player location. So we're gonna type in get location, get actor location. Here we go. It'll be self, and that's fine. There you go. And there you go. Plays the sound effect when we get the coin now. Okay, hello. Jack from the future here. I forgot to do some stuff, and then I did it, and then my audio corrupted. So I'm going to show you what I did. Crash course. Here we go. First things first, there was a bug where if you jumped and slid up, you wouldn't go back to the animation. Easy fix for that. You want to go into your animation blueprint, go into locomotion here, and you're going to add from the jump to a land, one that is checking for you not falling, and if the time remaining is also 0. You can also just not do the time remaining, but it just won't complete the jump. That's personal choice, do whichever. Either way, just check if they're no longer falling, because if they're not falling, then they won't go to the fall state, and that's why they wouldn't go through the whole animation. Next, I didn't do something to avoid, so we now have that. You can make that as, I named it wrong, I know, I don't care. So it's the very same as the collectible, and then we do something in the character. In the character, this is the code I have set up. We're going to go over this quick style. So on custom event, play animation. Animation is a non-looping death animation. Like you see, I don't have it looping. It's very standard, nothing which I haven't already touched on. Then I have a delay so you can see it. Then I create a widget over that and add it to viewport, which is this transition here. Then there's a delay, which is just another kind of just to actually let there be the transition, and then we restart the level, and that's how you speedrun making death. There you go. Yippee indeed. So, I believe that works. I actually really haven't tested it much. I should. Does it all reset properly? Yeah. Yippee indeed. That's also a problem. To fix that, other animations are overriding it, mainly jump or fall or whatnot. So what we're gonna do is, firstly, what would the node be? We're gonna go into here and we're gonna go disable input like this. Target self, player controller, get player controller. Amazing. Now, can't do anything. Truly peak of all society. Because you could do stuff before, I believe, if I'm not wrong. You could still move. Yeah, look. I'm just running through it. Oh wait, that's because I'm stupid. Look, you can still move. So we're gonna disable input like this. And then at the end of this, we are gonna, hopefully, does it just automatically re-enable input, or do I have to do that? Yeah, it automatically re-enables input. Wow, look at this, I can't move. But there's still the problem of falling through it. So, Well, actually, that's a good question. Is it? Yeah, it starts it. But basically, all we're going to go and do is go into Kishi in here, and you can probably guess what's going to happen. We're going to go into Fallen, and then we're going to do another branch here. Just go like this. I know my max on low battery. I'm going to do branch, and then we're going to just make a new condition, promote. I'm just going to leave this as condition because I'm being lazy and I just want this done. And we're going to go condition off of this, set it to true. Boom, boom. Actually, you should probably set that to if condition is not true. I'm just going to set it to false, just because it's basically the same thing. See, no falling animation anymore. And that's death. It will come for us all one day. That's everything you need to know to make a game for an exam. Obviously, there's a lot more aspects to this that I haven't covered, but this is the basics. Feel free to ask any questions. And yes, before we get on to good practice, I'm going to hand over to Shane to talk about how to build the game, to export it, because it's very different on Apple, and you're not going to be doing it on Apple. Very likely, you'll be doing it on Windows. So yes, over to him.
Okay, this is a quick video on how to do packaging for your project. So yeah, the guy. I'm gonna go to edit and then project settings and then fill out anything in the description you want, but most importantly just the settings at the bottom, which is just like the settings of the window when you're running it in game. Then go to maps and modes. You want to make sure your default game mode is whatever it should be, which it should be already. Your game default map, you want this to be your main menu realistically, if you have one. Otherwise, just whatever level you want. Then if you have a startup movie, for whatever reason, if you're incredibly cool, you can just add it here by physically going to find it in your folders. Then the most important thing is packaging. Go in here and then scroll all the way down, and you want build configuration set to shipping. Full rebuild off and full distribution turned on. And then scroll back up and find the cook only maps. You want that set to on. And then in list of maps to include in a packaged build, you want to just add an element and then find it in your project folder, in the content, and then wherever the map is. And you want to make sure you're adding the U map, not the U asset. And this will make the game size smaller, pretty much. In target hardware, you can optimize it for whatever you want. I assume you're going to go with a desktop game, and you can have it on maximum or scalable. If you have some kind of settings menu in game, then it shouldn't matter too much, but it's kind of just like the default. And then finally, you want to scroll down to platforms, and whatever platform you're making it for, presumably Windows. And you can set the splash screen and icon if you want to. You don't have to do this, but you don't have to touch anything else in here either. Just if you want to. Okay, now we can go to platforms and then whatever platform you want. Make sure you're using project settings or on shipping. You want to press package the game and then find a folder to go package it to. I'm going to do DMS packed. And then you should get a little pop-up packaging project for whatever platform. And you can show the output log to see if there's any errors, because there might be. If you get any, you can just like DM me or something. There is one specific one. There'll be a video after this talking about, which is one I got. But that should be everything. This should work now.
Hey, Jack here. Just want to quickly add that, as you can see, well, what you will see that when the game loads up, it's going to look pretty low quality. I'm pretty sure the reason for this is that we just don't give the game time to load anything, like any of the lighting and all that. So if you add a loading screen or something like that, it should hopefully fix it. I haven't looked too in depth because I forgot this happened because I didn't export it myself. But it shouldn't be too difficult of a fix. But hey, count it as homework to do some of your own research.
This is a follow-up. If you're using the newest version of Visual Studio and you have the PaperZD plugin, which you probably will in your project, there is an error that can happen. And the way you fix that is by going to the Unreal Engine installation folder. Go to Engine, Source, Runtime, or Public, Experimental, Containers, and in hazardpointer.h, right here, you want to scroll down to the fHazardRecord class. You want to take this value, or this function here, and you want to just cut it and move it down here, right below this, into a public class. And that should fix it if you got the same error as me, which will most likely be the case if you're on the newest version of Visual Studio. If you don't have the PaperZD plugin, it won't happen, but if you do and you're getting an error, this should fix it.
Well, now that you know how to execute the game, let's talk about good practice. So, for this segment, we're going to be going over this bit, all the coding we did for Kishi, for your main character, and just neating it up and kind of showing how you should really work with this stuff. So, let's start with begin play. This is so long and unnecessary. If we break it up, you can see that it's actually kind of in 3 separate parts. You have the cast into player controller, you've got the cast into the animation blueprint, and then we've got the HUD widget. So there's a very easy way we can fix this. We're going to decouple all of these from the event begin play, and off of this, we're going to type sequence. And then add a pin, and we can do this. Basically, what this will now do, it will now do these in order. It'll run this first top line, the second line, third line, but it can get neater. What we're now going to do is select this whole chunk, right click it, collapse nodes. Look at that, it's this tiny collapsed graph now. What is this? Well, this is cast to controller. Cast to controller. And then we can do that for the same. Well, this one, collapse nodes. This is cast to ABP. And then finally, last one, create widget. Now we can nicely stack all of these, put them all in front of the sequence, like so. And now look how much neater that is. And that's kind of the way we're going to start by tidying everything up. So, very simply, what's this? This is movement. Select all this, collapse nodes. Oops, I caught the create widget in by accident. Here, right click on it, collapse nodes. This is movement. If you ever want to look at any of these, you just double click and you can see it. You might want to move the inputs and outputs, but it doesn't really affect it much. So yeah, we're going to do this. But this is where it's going to get tricky. Well, I was very messy. I've used this. Well, simple. Break it up and make it look neater. You don't want your code to look neat so you can really tell what's going on. I'm going to copy this, paste, kind of make this look a lot neater, a lot more satisfactory to me. Here we go. Put this here. Target. There we go. This one's very easy. So is this. Here we go. Cool. Now we've got a collapse node. Oh, whoops. I missed it. Select all. Collapse nodes. Jump. It's having an error. Well, because it's already named something. So let's just name this something different. You might have to do this sometimes, but name it something similar. Something you'll understand. Collapse nodes. Fallen. Is this taken? Probably. No, it's not. And then finally, well, not finally, we've got two more. Right click, collapse nodes, landed, collect, collapse nodes, collect. Oh, can't name it collect because it's already taken in. Easy. Coin collect. Cool. And now look at this. This is so much neater. We can put this all up together. We have all our vertical movement here. We have our extra stuff. If you get an error like this and you fix it, just click compile and it'll go away. And there you go. Oh, looks like this didn't have its correct target. Let me fix that up. Save. As didn't this. So let's fix this up as well. Make it look neat by double clicking and adding this in, which lets us reroute it. Now, doesn't look that looks really neat now. I'm very happy with this. And look, it's all very clean, all very neat. It's easy to find stuff, easy to understand what stuff's going on. And this is kind of a standard you want to keep up. You want to, if you can keep stuff clean like this, you can even, especially if you're working with someone, add comments. Just by typing comment, you can add a comment, type stuff. If you can make it so something appears when you hover over it, that being comment text. Wow. So that's good practice.